I'm not sure, but I think so. We recorded. Yes, yes, we did. There was a recording on Saturday. There are some questions that we are looking at on Saturday. Yeah. Topic 3. The third topic of the semester, which is professional and ethical cooperation. Professional and ethical cooperation. Professional and ethical considerations. So still under regulation of audit. The previous chapter was on the legal framework. So the second, which is now our third topic, is on the professional framework. And we said earlier that audit is regulated through the legal requirement and also the professional bodies requirement. So today we want to look at the code of ethics for professional accountants. I'd love you also look at the fundamental principles in audit. Then also other very important ethical guidelines which needs to be considered by the auditors in this profession. Then the very last one, we shall be looking at what we call professional skepticism. So these things are not very new for us when it comes to the code of ethics or the code of conduct. Is a very common topic in audit and also widely tested by the examiner. So without wasting much of our time, we can just do the introduction on the part of a code of ethics for professional accountants, a subtopic code of ethics for professional accountants. Code of ethics for professional accountants. Code of ethics for professional accountants in line with ISBA, in line with IESBA, Code of Professional Accountants, Code of Professional Accountants, Code of Professional Accountants. Code of Professional Accountants. And you know the full meaning of this. This one you know. One of the standard board. The International Ethics Standard Board for Professional Accountants. Just the International Ethics Standard Board for Accountants. So let's now look at this term. You write that professional ethics, professional ethics, professional ethics, professional ethics, professional ethics are ethical statements. Are ethical statements. Are ethical statements that regulate the conduct of an audit the conduct of an audit, the conduct of an audit, and behavior of professional accountants, and behavior of professional accountants, and behavior of professional accountants in public practice, in public practice, in public practice. In Kenya, the accountancy profession, in Kenya, the accountancy profession, in Kenya, the accountancy profession is regulated, is regulated by ISPAC, is regulated by ISPAC, is regulated by ISPAC, which is a member of IFSC, which is a member of IFSC, which is a member of IFSC. I hope you saw what this one stands for. The International Federation of Accountancy Council. Okay, continue by writing that the IFSC is a worldwide organization, is a worldwide organization that regulates the accountancy profession, that regulates the accountancy profession, that regulates the accountancy profession, that regulates the accountancy profession. The following are the ethical principles. The following are the ethical principles. The following are the ethical principles that constitutes professional ethics of accountants, professional ethics of accountants, professional ethics of accountants, professional ethics of accountants. So number one, integrity. Number one, integrity. Number one, integrity. Number two, independence. Number two, independence. Number three, professional competence, and due care, professional competence and due care. Next is that confidentiality. Next point number 5 is advertising. Next, a change in the professional appointment. Change in professional appointment. Change in professional appointment. Next, number 7, audit fee. Then last one, professional skepticism. So those are the ethical principles which you as an accountant you should be aware of. These are not some things that are new for us. Right from the intermediate level, we came across these principles. like the integrity, being straightforward, being honest. Whenever you are undertaking any professional or business engagement, there should be the truthful disclosure of maybe information at any given time. Then independency, a very fundamental concept in audit. It is not a principle as such. It's not a fundamental principle, but a fundamental concept. We do say an auditor must be, it must be seen to be independent. An auditor must be, it must be seen to be independent as a matter of the fact and also appearance. Then number three, professional competence and due care. This now goes in the area of doing the job. You must be able to do the job well to minimize cases of being negligent. You should be able to produce a quality work, and you should only be accepting assignment that you know that you're competent to do. Allow for confidentiality, being able to maintain the secrets. Yes, these are information of the client in your possession should maintain their confidentiality without sharing the third party. Then we have number five, advertising. So we have now the regulations, the guidelines on how you can go to market your services. So in the professional, this is normally prohibited. Accountants are not allowed to market or to advertise the professional services they do offer. However, there are some of the exceptions there where you can use the paid media to reach out to the public. Then we have a change in professional appointment. Here's a client, they are at liberty to appoint any person whom they feel that should be their next auditor. Whenever that one happens, you should not feel bad. There is a procedure here that should be duly followed to allow the new person to come into an office. And if the person has been appointed, it's a matter of the courtesy, must reach out to the outgoing auditor. You also have the guidelines of the audit fees. Auditors are paid audit fees. There are so many bases of determining an auditor fee. The factors that will be considered in determining the audit fee. Like there are two approaches which can be used. What we call the time-based approach, the time-based approach, or it can also be what we call the value-based approach. The value-based approach. There are also other factors that will determine how much fee you're going to request the client or to negotiate with the client. Then the last one, professional skepticism. This is now an element of approaching your work with an element of doubt that the financial statements could be materially misstated. So let's begin with the number one, integrity. Number one, integrity. Integrity. It is a being honest. It is a being honest. It is being honest. It is being honest. It is being honest. Straightforward, and sincere, in all the dealings, in all the dealings. It also implies to be fair and truthful. To be fair and truthful. A professional accountant should not be associated. A professional accountant should not be associated. A professional accountant should not be associated. With returns or information. Which has been furnished recklessly. A member of the institute. must maintain high standard, must maintain high standard, high standard of conduct all the time, high standard of conduct all the time, high conduct all the time. And then number two, independence. Number two, independence. Number two, independence. The auditor should have freedom. The auditor should have freedom. The auditor should have freedom. The auditor should have freedom from undue influence, from undue influence, from undue influence, from undue influence of the management and others, of the management and others, of the management and others. The auditor must be and must be seen. The auditor must be and must be seen. The auditor must be and must be seen to be free from any conflict, to be free from any conflict, to be free from any conflict of interest, to be free from any conflict of interest that might distract him, that might distract him from the main objective, that might distract him from the main objective. And we go to number three, professional competence, due care, and skills. 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 The auditor should have the ability. The auditor should have the ability. The auditor should have the ability. The auditor should have the ability to perform his work, to perform his work, to perform his work from the start to finish, from the start to finish, from the start to finish, without unnecessarily involving, without unnecessarily involving, without unnecessarily involving others, without unnecessarily involving others. The auditor should not accept, the auditor should not accept, the auditor should not accept any appointment, any appointment, any appointment, any appointment, which he is not competent, which he is not competent, which is not competent to perform, which is not competent to perform, which is not competent to perform, unless he get advice, unless he get advice, unless he get advice, unless he get advice, which enables him to competently, which enables him to competently, which enables him to competently perform that work, which enables him to competently perform that work. Competence requires the auditor to maintain high standards. Competence requires auditor to maintain high standards. Competence requires auditor to maintain high standards so as to provide quality services. So as to provide quality services. So as to provide quality services. Then we go to number 4, confidentiality. 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 The auditor should maintain top secrecy. The auditor should maintain top secrecy. The auditor should maintain top secrecy. With the client confidential information. With the client confidential information. With the client confidential information obtained in the course of the audit. 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 The auditor should not use the client's confidential information. The auditor should not use the client's confidential information. The auditor should not use the client's confidential information. The client confidential information for his advantage. For his advantage. For his advantage. Or for the advantage of other parties. Or for the advantage of the other parties. Or for the advantage of the other parties. The auditor can, however, disclose the clients. The auditor can, however, disclose the clients confidential information under the following circumstances. Under the following circumstances. Under the following circumstances. Under the following circumstances. So number one, when the client has given consent. 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 The number two, where there is a professional duty. Where there is a professional duty to disclose such information. Where there is a professional duty to disclose such information. Where there is a professional duty to disclose such information. To disclose such information. Number three, where there is a legal duty for such disclosure. Where there is a legal duty for such disclosure. Where there is a legal duty for such disclosure. Where there is a legal duty for such disclosure. Then number four, where such disclosure is ordered by the court of law. Where such disclosure is ordered by the court of law. Where such disclosure is ordered by the court of law. By the court of law. 5, where the client is involved. Where the client is involved. Where the client is involved in criminal activities. In criminal activities. In criminal activities such as money laundering. Such as money laundering. Such as money laundering. The next, where such disclosure is in public interest. Where such disclosure is in public interest. Where such disclosure is in public interest. We go to number 5, advertising and publicity. Advertising and publicity. Advertising and publicity. So sometimes you may wonder that accountants are not allowed to market or to advertise their services. So how will they get the client? For some, there is a positive correlation between the income and the advertisement. Of course, the more you market, the more your income is going to be up. So why are they not allowed to advertise? There is a reason why. This is not about competition. It's about being able to offer professional services. So how do they get clients? You get clients through what you call referrals from your networks. You get referrals. If you do a good job, then the other clients will keep on referring new clients to you through what you call this kind of marketing technique, or what you call the in the word of mouth advertising network happens to be quite viral. It's a very cheap advertising technique to use. So this one will get you the jobs. I love the second one. You can go for what you call the tendering process. Yes, you've seen an invitation to tender for your services. You can offer your bid. After the evaluation, you can happen to be successful and be given that particular contract. So much of it is through referrals. Last, there is the second one, the tendering procedures. So the auditor should not solicit. The auditor should not solicit. The auditor should not solicit. The auditor should not solicit for clients through advertising. Through advertising. The audit firm should not place a page. The audit firm should not place a page. The audit firm should not place a page. The audit firm should not place a page for adverts. In print or electronic media. In print or electronic media. In print or electronic media. Aimed at bringing the profession. Aimed at bringing the profession to the attention of the public. 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 Yeah. Keyword actually paid advertisement is go to the newspaper, put that publication there. You go to the TV, put it there. It's outside of the paid billboards there. You are off. I'm so and so. I'm offering the foreign services. That's not allowed. It's a guidelines within the professions. Not only accountants, even the lawyers. How do they want to bring all their money? The accountants or the lawyers, where they're marketing their services, or maybe in a TV or a newspaper, because there are strict regulations about it. So that's not allowed. Yes, you understand how advertisements are normally done, even TV, radio, or any other media. Yes, they're quite enticing. They are quite inviting for people buy the services or buy the products. So such kind of a marketing is not allowed. Yes, well, you will never walk around and see maybe a big billboard. You have CPA farm. A very big billboard, yeah, law farm. They have the resources to source, like the big four, wakona resources where there is a billboards of every town if they want. But why? There is a regulation. Sasa, lakini kuna zile exceptions. It was about publicity. It's about now the name getting out there. Kwamba impurity, I'm offering this and this. So there are ways on how that information can reach to the public. Like for example, come you are subcontracting some work for the client, then you can use now your name to advertise those particular services. Let's say kwamba client amepatia work to do recruitment for their staff, maybe a senior managers. So at the point of doing the recruitment, you now use your firm name to advertise for the vacant positions. Or maybe come up with some significant changes within the firm and want to do a communication to the public, like maybe new partner or maybe retirement of a partner. In that case, you can also use a paid media to do also. Or you have changed your location. Initially operating in Mombasa and you now move to Nairobi. So you want to bring that information to the member of the public. In that case, you can also use a paid. Yes, you are not allowed to market. Yeah, we are aware of a big operation like Coca-Cola, they market, Safaricom, they make billions of money, but they still do what? Market. They can't survive without market because the two go hand in hand with the revenue. There is what drives the sales. That's about market and that publicity. That's why companies will pay to a very small space in a very major tournament from a World Cup. The name to repeated to Mahali Pali, so that it's now the image of the person, or the targeted customers, the targeted market. Yeah, Sasa, in your case, maybe in the future, if you open a small farm, there's no combo. You can't buy a space in the newspaper. Yes, and you can also run an unfortunate. So just begin somewhere. Have a label that you are CPA, you are purity associate, certified public accountant, and that's now the end of it. Although you can, yes, when the customers there, agitated, but when you maybe come up on the resources, now answer, the best thing you can do, you can be allowed to say, we are new, we operate this particular place. That's allowed. At least the company already running, then you now market or advertise whatever you're offering. That's not allowed. So, lakini if it come, let's say business card, those ones you can make. Business card you can make. You can have a website. That's very important for you because people can visit your website. They get more information pertaining to the service that you offer. And also visit your life people easier. You use what we call the social media platforms. Social media platforms, we can also promote what you offer for the publicity, but you don't solicit for the work. Yes, don't say about better. I'm going to offer better services as compared to so that's not allowed. Just be yourself, and you have to maintain that professional image. So, okay, to me, this one is quite easy. Just do most of audit firms ambao just as an individual, but as an individual, utapata kwamba kuna the platform which enable them to grow is what we call referrals. You do a good job, that person refers a client to you. Through that one, you find your client base in a fund will increase. It keeps on widening. It's not about now your reputation outside there. Yes, what could be happening if they allowed for advertisement? It could be a cutthroat competition. One competition in and this is all about just quality work. That's what's required. Yeah, so do the good job I love also the members of the profession. People are not the same. You may be good in this area, other person is good in the other area. There's that room for consultation, so that you get ideas on how you can tackle some of the problems that you encounter. Like the small farms, they don't have that wider expertise or ideas within the farm. So they're allowed to go outside there and seek for what? For that expertise idea. Okay, so where are we? Yeah, place a page for adverts, either in print or electronic media, aimed at bringing the profession to the attention of the public, The audit firm should also ensure that other people do not engage themselves in such activities on their behalf. The audit firm can, however, advertise. Under the following circumstances. Number one, when seeking to recruit its own staff. When seeking to recruit its own staff. Number two, when seeking to recruit employees. On behalf of the client. We'll see, when informing the client on the opening of a new branch, or closing down of an existing branch. And next, when seeking to subcontract professional work. When seeking to subcontract professional work. Let's go to number 6, change in professional appointment. Change in professional, yes. 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 Oh. Yes. Mm. Okay. So we have a ISPAC, and such publication should be channeled through them. So they're the ones who have been given that responsibility maybe to do such kind of a communication. Yes, because let's say you are an auditor of company A, then also company B. And these two companies are competitors. Then happens now we are praising this company A in the newspaper. I mean that publication. How will the other person feel? With it mean that you can give an objective opinion? No. Yeah, so that's why there is regulations. Yes, even when it come events where you're not supposed to attend as an auditor, like social events. Your client may organize a golf game, maybe in Daiga, race course. You're not supposed to attend such kind of social events because attending them is like promoting the interest of the client. So kuna vitu mingi tu you can't be doing. Huwezi kuwa excited to do such kind of things due to proper regulations. Ya pia umehisi kwamba we're taking sides. Okay, number 6, change in the professional appointment. A change in the professional appointment. Sasa hii pia inaitwanga obtaining professional clearance, where tuko na the incoming auditor and the outgoing auditor. It's a matter of the courtesy that the incoming auditor needs to communicate to the outgoing auditor. But the incoming auditor can't communicate with the outgoing auditor without seeking the permission from the client. That permission can be granted by the client or can be denied by the client. So what happens if the client has denied you to reach out to the outgoing auditor? You may consider to reject their appointment. You may consider to reject the appointment. Again, here, the outgoing auditor receiving that communication that the incoming auditor want to reach out must also seek the permission from the client. The client can give that permission or they can refuse or reject. So in that case, now you as the incoming auditor, you may try to proceed with question, or you may also reject that particular appointment. So normally there is a changes in the profession, but whenever they come, you must be able to approach them with an utmost courtesy. You need to reach out to each other. You have to communicate with each other and also with the client concerning that particular changes. Now, client doesn't need to seek permission from you whenever they want to appoint a new accountant. They are free to do so. So, okay, whenever there is a change in the professional appointment, whenever there is a change in the professional appointment, whenever there is a change in the professional appointment of the auditor, the incoming auditor should seek permission from the client to communicate with the outgoing auditor, The following are the reasons why the communication is important. The following are the reasons why the communication is important. The following are the reasons why the communication is important. Why the communication is important. Number 1, it enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor to obtain relevant audit working papers. from the outgoing auditor, from the outgoing auditor, from the outgoing auditor. Number two, it enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor to ascertain the degree of cooperation, the degree of cooperation, the degree of cooperation, the degree of cooperation expected from the client, expected from the client, expected from the client, expected from the client. Then point number three, it enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor to ascertain the basis, to ascertain the basis, to ascertain the basis of charging audit fees, of charging audit fees, of charging audit fees used by the outgoing auditor, used by the outgoing auditor, used by the outgoing auditor. Next, it enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor to know whether there are any reasons, professional, ethical, legal or practical, why the appointment should not be accepted. 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 Point number 5. It is an act of courtesy. 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 It is an act for courtesy for this communication to take place. For this communication to take place. For this communication to take a place. For this communication to take place. Next point. It enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor. It enables the incoming auditor to know the reasons as to why. To know the reasons as to why. To know the reasons as to why the outgoing auditor is no longer the client's auditor. Is no longer the client's auditor. Then we go to number 7, audit fee, auditor fee, auditor fee, audit fee, audit fee. That's number 7, auditor fee. So the guidelines on auditor fees. SASA accountants, they charge audit fee to the client. This is their remuneration. There are also, as I said earlier, there are 2 approaches for determining the audit fee. The kwanza is what we call the time-based approach. The time-based approach. You can try to determine how many hours are you going to spend at the client place. Then based on that one, it can help you to estimate or determine how much would it fee to charge. Another appeal is about the value-based approach. So what value are you going to bring in to the client? This will also guide you in charging the audit fees. Then there are also those other factors that will determine, the factors that you can also determine how much fees to charge. Like one, the prevailing market rates. The prevailing market rates, what are other firms charging in the industry, also determine. The other one, it could be the reputation of the firm. Reputation of the firm can also guide in charging the audit fee. Another one, the level of the auditor experience. Level of the auditor experience. The level of the auditor experience will also determine. The level of the auditor experience will also determine. The location where the client is based will also determine how much fees you can charge the client, because they're cost to meet. You will be traveling to that place to perform some of the auditing assignments and obligations. So must also factor such kind of a cost into the auditor fees. And the most important is what we call the ethical matters now. The ethical matters when it comes to determining the audit fee. There are three matters here. Ethical matters to be considered when it comes to charging the audit fees. Ethical matters to be determined. Once there is what we call the law bowling. So as an auditor or an audit firm, you should not charge a lower market rate as compared to what other competitors are charging in the same market to offer the same professional services. All that fee that you are also charging other clients being lower as to what you charge that one you charge the new client. That's prohibited. You should not always put your fee lower as compared to the market rate. If you do so, you will be engaging what you call the law bowling, which is ethical to do so. Then number two, there is what we call the contingency fee. Contingency fee. So audit firms should not charge the audit fees based on what we call the contingency. For example, at a certain percentage of some predetermined result or outcome. The example of your client number, you're going to charge 5%. 5% of the sales, 5% of the profit. 5% of the profit, etc., is not allowed. Or base your audit fees on a commission, or base your audit fees on some commission basis. That's also not allowed. Then number three, we have what we call the overdependency on an audit client. Overdependence on an audit client. Overdependence on an audit client. An auditor client. So also when it comes to getting income, there should be not too much dependency on just one auditor client. Na hapa kuna the percentage about inawekwa, which is now 15%. Well, they more than 15% of your gross practice income. Should not come from only one client. If you have more than 15% of your gross income is coming from one client, there's a high chance that your independence will be impaired in such kind of a client due to too much dependency on that auditor client. Let's say go over to one of these three clients here. How many of them? Tuko na client A, tuko na B, tuko na C, tuko na D. Then you happen to get, let's say, up on 500K for that client. This one gives you maybe 100. This one gives you maybe 80. And this one maybe gives you 20,000. So the total fees, the total gross fee comes to how much? 600. 700. So if you convert this one into percentages, 500 over 700 times 100%. 500 over 700 times 100%. 500 over 100 times 500 over 700 times 100%. 71%. 71%. By 100 over 700 times 100%. 100 times 14%. Then 80 over 700 times 11%. After this, the last one is 4% among 4%. So we have those percentages. So ukiangalia client A, that audit firm is getting 71%. That's too high. There's a high level of dependency on the income from this client number. And this auditor is likely to be compromised. His objectivity is likely to be impaired. Tukikuja hapa, these are 14 is okay. This one out is 11 is okay. This out is also okay. Was less than 15%. So this one out, there's certain things that this person need to do. One is to maybe offer multiple services. Another one is to look for more clients. To look for more clients so that they're able to reduce this percentage number to less than 15%. Now, pia kuna also the guideline that yes, as an audit firm, you could be offering what you call the audit services and the non-auditor services. So avoid a situation whereby this 15% is not met. You can do a separation of the income. This is from the audit is separated from what you call the non-audit services income. Okay, let's try the following. Yeah. Yes, a value basis. The value-based approach. It looks like a contingency thing. The value is what you are offering. Like you can be having professional footballers and an amateur. The value that a professional footballer brings is quite different than that one that an amateur brings. So value na inakuwa for subjective. However, kuna pia the factor that you can check and determine the value the person is going to bring into your business. Like if you were to get those accounting services from the big four firms, they're likely known to be of high value, high quality services compared to maybe if you get it from the other end of the small audit firms. The value-based approach, or maybe from an experience perspective, if somebody has more years of work experience is likely to offer value services to the client, as compared to somebody who has got lesser years of work experience. Purity, scary story of contingency. There is some predetermined results, the charging audit fees of some predetermined outcome or results. So that's not allowed. It is prohibited. But for non-audit services, that one you can do. For non-audit services, you can charge based on the predetermined results or the outcome. For audit, no, because at the end of the day or at the end of the season, you are required to express an opinion over that work. So the auditor should not charge. The auditor should not charge audit fee. The auditor should not charge audit fee. The auditor should not charge audit fee on percentage, on percentage, on percentage, or similar basis, on percentage or similar basis, on percentage or similar basis. The auditor should also not charge. The auditor should not also charge. The auditor should not also charge the audit fee, the audit fee, the audit fee on contingent basis, on contingent basis, on contingent basis, on contingent basis. The basis of charging audit fee the basis of charging audit fee, the basis of charging audit fee, the basis of charging audit fee, which may influence, which may influence, which may influence, which may influence the auditor's professional judgment, the auditor's professional judgment, the auditor's professional judgment, the auditor's professional judgment should not be accepted, should not be accepted, should not be accepted, should not be accepted. The principle of professional independence, the principle of professional independence, the principle of professional independence should not be impaired, should not be impaired, should not be impaired, should not be impaired due to the hope of financial gains, due to the hope of financial gains, due to the hope of financial gains from the client, due to the hope of financial gains from the client, from the client. The following are the basis, the following are the basis, the following are the basis, the following are the basis of charging audit fee, of charging audit fee, of charging audit fee, which are commonly used by audit firm, which are commonly used by audit firm, which are commonly used by audit firm, which are commonly used by audit firm. So one, time spent within client's premises, time spent within client premises, time spent within client premises, time spent within client premises. Number two, reputation of the audit firm, reputation of the audit firm. Number three, experience of the auditor, experience of the auditor, experience of the auditor. The size of the client company, the size of the client company, the size of the client company, etc. The size of the client company, etc. Let's go to the last one, professional skepticism. Professional skepticism. Professional skepticism. So the standard calls that you should be a skeptical accountant or auditor, always being skeptical. And if you're skeptical, you are somebody who's very alert and doubtful. You are very alert and doubtful. You also develop a questioning mind. You should be able to develop a questioning mind. If somebody tells you something, you need to interrogate further. You need to question that information further so that you verify how valid is that statement, how factual is that statement. Your work as an auditor is to audit the financial statements. There is a possibility that the financial statements will be materially misstated. For that case, you need to approach the work with professional skepticism, being alert and having an element of doubt that the financial statements could be materially misstated due to errors and fraud. Now we have areas where the professional skepticism will be required, like when you're verifying the financial statements assertion. In that case, you need to be able to verify that information and to confirm How valid, how accurate are they? So professional skepticism is a very important concept in accountancy profession, that we must always remain skeptical. The financial statements could be containing errors and the fraud. Sasa kama una you doubt, you don't question further, you don't want to interrogate, you may not be able to detect such kind of missed statements. Also very important as one of the principles that every accountant is required to observe, to be professional and skeptical. This is the attitude of doubt. This is the attitude of doubt. This is the attitude of doubt by the auditor, by the auditor, by the auditor. When carrying out an audit, when carrying out an audit, when carrying out an audit, or financial statements, or financial statements, or financial statements, that something wrong might exist. That something wrong might exist. That something wrong might exist. That something wrong might exist in the financial statements. In the financial statements. In the financial statements. Or that frauds and errors, or that frauds and errors, or that frauds and errors are present, are present in the financial statements, in the financial statements, in the financial statements. These ethical statements, therefore requires the auditor, therefore requires the auditor to critically examine, the audit evidence obtained, the audit evidence obtained, the audit evidence obtained, the audit evidence obtained. It enables the auditor, it enables the auditor, it enables the auditor, it enables the auditor to obtain sufficient appropriate audit evidence in the course of the audit, in the course of the audit, in the course of the audit, in the course of the audit. I sort of link up with subheading the fundamental principles, the fundamental principles, the fundamental principles, the fundamental principles, the fundamental principles. So since you have covered them, you're just going to list them, then we proceed on to something else. So below it write that IFSC gives 5 fundamental principles, 5 fundamental principles, 5 fundamental principles, 5 fundamental principles that constitute the code of ethics, that constitute the code of ethics, that constitute the code of ethics for professional accountants, for professional accountants, for professional accountants, for professional accountants. They include the following. They include the following. They include the following. Number one, integrity. Number one, integrity. Number one, integrity. Number two, objectivity. Objectivity. Number three, confidentiality. 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 Number four, professional competence and due care. Professional competence and due care. Professional competence and due care. Then the last one, professional behavior. Professional behavior. Professional behavior. Professional behavior. Sasa kwa hizo 5, we did discuss objectivity and nini your professional behavior. Yes, we didn't discuss that one, but they're very simple. Being objective is to remain balanced, is to be fair, impartial in making any judgment. To be fair, impartial in making any judgment without being biased. Being able to make a judgment without being biased. Able to make a judgment without being biased. Yes, being impartial in making judgment, being balanced in making judgment, or being unbiased in making judgments. Yes, you must always be objective. You will become very firm in any judgment that you make. I love professional behavior is how you carry yourself, how you conduct yourself. It should be in a manner that doesn't injure or harm the name of the good profession. How you conduct yourself, how you carry yourself, should be in a manner that doesn't harm or injure the name of the profession. That doesn't harm or injure the name of the profession. Sasa lazima you conduct yourself with a lot of dignity outside there. A lot of dignity out there. Ikifika hapo, we shall go and discuss what you call the threats to auditors' independence. Threats to the auditors' independence. Threats to the auditors' independence. Threats to the auditors' independence. So let's take some few minutes break. Auditors must be seen to be independent. Auditors must be seen to be independent. Auditors must be seen to be independent. There are two types of auditors' independence. 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 So number one, independence of mind, stroke fact. 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 Then number two, independence in appearance. Independence in appearance. Independence in appearance. Yeah, sasa, those are the two. The auditors must be seen to be independent by the fact of the mind. Yes, also the attitude of the auditor to be able to make a decision without being influenced or being compromised by another party. Alafu independence in appearance is now the perception. How a well-informed third party may come to the conclusion of huyu auditor, by the kind of relationship they have with the company, he has been compromised. Like if the auditor receives some gifts from the client, some very nice treatment from the client, or even having a certain percentage of the beneficial shares in the company, the third party may conclude that the audit has been impaired or has been compromised. So your work as an auditor is to be able to identify what we call the threats, how to manage our use of threats of the independency. First of all, we must be able to identify them. Identify which threats are these. Identify the threats are these. We normally use the mnemonic surface to identify the threats, the surface to identify the threats, whereby one upper US is what you call the self-interest, the self-interest threats. So this arises whereby you are, as an auditor, you're pursuing or having a financial interest in the client entity. Like for example, you own a certain percentage of the share capital in the company, more than maybe 3% of the share capital in the company, That one can make you to be compromised later, whenever an opinion is required to be expressed on the entity financial statements. Two is what we call the advocacy threats. Advocacy threats arises when now you try to champion or promote the client interest. You try to champion or promote the client interest. Like one, you are representing the client in any legal matter in a court, where you happen to be the witness for the client. Later, that matter can affect your independence to give an objective opinion. The number three is F, what we call familiarity. Familiarity threats. Familiarity threats is due to what we call the close social proximity. When auditor has a very close social proximity with the client, developing maybe a closer working relationship with the client, or some people who are known to the auditor by blood, by association, by partnership, being relative, happens to be sitting at a senior management position of influence. That can also lead to the auditor's independence being compromised. The next one we have number 4, what we call intimidation. Intimidation. So the client management can put some pressure or can exert some pressure on the auditor to give maybe a certain different opinion or a favorable opinion on the report. So whenever you're being put into unnecessary pressure by the managers and you succumb to it, you can be easily compromised and give a different position. Like one, they're threatening you but they'll not be renewing your contract. If you don't give us a good opinion, we're not going to renew your contract. This can also affect the auditor's independence. Or maybe they're threatening you, they'll take you to court if you fail to do A, B, and C. Then next we have S, which is now the self-review threats. As for the self-review threats, self-review threats, the self-review threats. So there is a situation whereby we have audit work, which later an opinion is required. And we also have the non-audit services, the non-audit work. So audit happens whenever you participated in the preparation of the non-audit work. Like one, you prepare the financial statements for the client, or you came and helped them put in place an internal control system. Then as you do the audit later, you get asked to give an opinion on the work which you had done earlier. There is no way you can question mistakes out of your work. You're likely to give a favorable opinion over this subject matter. So you should try to avoid situation whereby you find yourself, you've been auditor, and also offer the non-auditor services to the client. So that one can also compromise on your independence. If you do it within the audit firm, then you can do what you call the auditor rotation. You must have an audit rotation policy. If the group A of the staff did the non-auditor work, they're the ones who prepare the financial statements, or did the bookkeeping for the client, then another group, a separate group, an independent group B, can now be tasked the responsibility to audit that particular work. So that's the first thing that we need to do, identify the threats, the surface. Once you identify the threats, the next step is to do what we call the safeguards. You look for what we call the safeguards. Safeguards are the measures which are put in place to either eliminate or reduce the threats. To either eliminate or reduce the threats. You can only eliminate or reduce the threats if you have identified a measure. For example, on the self-interest level, you identify you having shares in the client entity. There is a self-interest couple. So what are you going to do? You can reduce them to less than 5%, or you can opt now to close the entire amount or disengage from that appointment. What about advocacy? You stop being the client, maybe advocate, or the witness in a court matter, or championing their interest in a manner that it could be detrimental to another party. Familiarity, you know, relatives happen to be sitting in the same management position, you can consider yourself disengaged from that appointment. You can consider yourself to disengage from that work. You excuse yourself, I am conflicted about. Now, kama kuna conflict of interest, once a conflict of interest matter has been disclosed, it no longer becomes a conflict, because the parties now involved are able to make their own independent decision. Then intimidation, that is a very serious one, is the managers are putting a lot of pressure to you. So what are you going to do? What you can do, you can seek legal and professional advice, like from the body, high score, I'm being challenged on this particular area. What can I do? Love common a matter that you're being threatened kwamba they'll take you to court, you can seek the services of a lawyer. Or how can I go about this kind of a matter between I and the client? Now, come on, the matter financial statements are reporting, the professional bodies are there also to give you the advice. Self-review, what you have said, like one. What you are on the self-review, you can do what you develop, you adopt what you call the Chinese form. Chinese wall, you can adopt the Chinese wall. Chinese wall among the departments or the section. So Nakwana auditing section, Nakwana the finance section, the accountancy section. So let's continue the threads. So where are we? So there are 5 main threads. 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 There are 5 main threads to the auditor's independence. To the auditor's independence. To the auditor's independence. To the auditor's independence. Number 1, familiarity threat. Number 1, familiarity threat. Familiarity threat. Number 2, self-review threats. Self-review threats. Self-review threats. Self-review threats. Next, self-interest threats. Self-interest threats. Self-interest threats. Next, advocacy threats. Advocacy threats. Advocacy threats. Advocacy threats. Next, intimidation threats. Intimidation threats. Intimidation threats. Let's begin with number 1, familiarity threats. Familiarity threats. Familiarity threats. Familiarity threats. This arises in situations. This arises in situations. This arises in situations. This arises in situations where the auditor has been with the client, has been with the client for a reasonable long period of time, long period of time, it may also occur in a situation where the auditor has been very close to the officers of the client company, in terms of social proximity, e.g. friendship, business relationship, blood relations, etc. Such auditors may be perceived to be too sympathetic to the client interest, This type of threat can be minimized. This type of threat can be minimized through various ways, such as point one, encouraging the client to have a rotational policy, of external auditor, Number two, ensuring that the audit firm is periodically rotating. Ensuring that the audit firm is periodically rotating. The senior team members, Next point, considering disengaging from the appointment. Consider disengaging from the appointment. And number two, self-review threats. Self-review threats. This type of threat this type of threat arises, where auditors are providing multiple services to the same audit client, i.e. compilation of financial statements, as well as provision for auditing services, Now next, such auditors may be perceived to be reviewing their own work, that they may not be able to criticize themselves, This type of threat is common. Where a small audit firm, which lack resources, are engaged by small clients, Audit firms are therefore encouraged to take measures such as creation of departments, in such a way the staff engaged in the provision of auditing services, do not perform other non-assurance services. In bracket, creation of Chinese walls. We go to number 3, self-interest threats. This type of threat arises in situation where the auditor may be having financial interest, may be having financial interest, may be having financial interest in the client's company, in the client's company, in the client's company, e.g. shareholding interest, e.g. shareholding interest, e.g. shareholding interest, shareholding interest. In such a situation, in such a situation, in such a situation, the auditor may take, in such a situation, the auditor may take, in such a situation, the auditor may take appropriate measures, such as ensuring that appropriate disclosure of factual information is provided, or disengaging from the client, or disengaging from the client, or disengaging from the client, or disengaging from the client. Now let's go to advocacy. Advocacy threats. Advocacy threats. This arises in situations. This arises in situations. This arises in situations where the client may be involved in some disputes, or disagreements, with the third parties, where auditors may have been involved, e.g. in compilation, or computation of tax returns, or computation of tax returns, or computation of tax returns, or computation of tax returns. I have paragraph. In such a scenario, the auditor may be perceived. In such a scenario, the auditor may be perceived to be promoting the interest, of the client, during the dispute, Auditors should minimize this type of threat, by either engaging other independent experts, or who are neutral who are neutral, or considering the appropriateness, or considering the appropriateness, or considering the appropriateness of arbitration in the circumstances, of arbitration in the circumstances, of arbitration in the circumstances, of arbitration in the circumstances. Last one, we go to intimidation threats. Intimidation threats. This arises where the auditor is put under pressure, by the directors, to give a favorable opinion, or to make a favorable decision, failure to which their contracts could be terminated. Auditors should insist on making professional judgment, in order to protect their integrity, and profession. It is also important for the auditors. To follow the same auditing standards. In the performance of their work, in order to ensure consistency, and uniformity in decision making. So class, let's end there for today. Then we'll meet next time.